Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by
me, Rob, on a Monday non-mobile show.
Monday night.
Night.
Only there was Monday Night Football to watch instead of. Yes, I'm telling you, it's funny. Like during the season, we're like, this is a crap game going on in prime time. Give me a crap game right now. I would watch a crap game. Like, sign me up for the Browns versus the Titans right now. I'd watch it.
I was going about to say Patriots stuff, but still, yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Same caliber.
Yeah. So it's sad that we probably both have the Browns into though. Oh man. So yeah, we got some QB rumors, some draft rumors floating around there. Obviously, listen, let's be honest, guys. Until otherwise, which won't be until after the draft when I say otherwise, the big story of this offseason is going to be getting a quarterback. Flat out. That's what it is. So
100%.
Next week, obviously, we got a free agency starting up there, so something's probably going to happen there. But then something also happened draft time. We probably got two coming, guys. So buckle in. This is the ride we're on this offseason. So first bit of news we have is the Giants are said to be intrigued by Quinn Ewers, which is interesting because we haven't really heard much, I feel like, about him in the last month or so. He's kind of been lowering his head and kind of staying a little quiet there. There was even rumors of him going back to college because he had one more year left of eligibility and perhaps going to another school and just taking an NIL deal to set himself up for life. Because let's be honest, guys, some of these guys are getting set up for life. Like Carson Beck, who went to Miami, replacing Cam Ward for spending the last 3 seasons in Georgia. I mean, he's making millions.
Yeah.
Making the kind of money that you and I wish we could make at some point in our life, let alone in 1 year. Playing college football. It's insanity. But Quinn Ewers is a guy that, like I said, he came to the conclusion of it's time to go into that draft. And we know that there's been ups and downs for him this year. But like I said, the rumor is the Giants are intrigued by him. He is kind of an interesting option overall if we don't get a top flight cornerback, because we don't know what's going to happen. We might not get a top flight quarterback. And when I mean top flight, I mean like top of this year's flight. Like, just be clear on that. Sanders or Ward, like one of those two we don't get. Second round comes around, Dart's already gone. Maybe that third, fourth round, Quinn Ewers starts looking good.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like when you're starving, and there's that thing that's been sitting in the fridge for a while, and you're like, didn't look appetizing last time, but I'm starting to get hungry enough that I just don't care anymore.
The leftovers have been under 5 days. You're like,
Yeah, he's like that peanut butter and jelly sandwich option. Not to use Joe Shane's things. I know he loves him some peanut butter jelly, but like you do that when like there's nothing else to make and you're just too lazy to cook something. Like a bowl of cereal. That's what I feel like Quinn Ewers is. Because he's a guy that there's some potential, and he's going to be probably a decent backup in this league. But there's some potential for him to be a starter. But I don't think a lot necessarily. I don't know. I think his ceiling to me is like bottom end starter. Like a career like, and I'm not saying he plays like him, but a career like a Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
Like that kind of guy, like a guy that will get a chance to start at some point in his career probably, but probably won't be able to hold on to the job. This is from Essentially Sports. He said Ewers played through a torn oblique while his backup QB Arch Manning stepped in during crucial moments when needed. However, in 3 seasons at Texas, he racked up 9,128 yards and 68 touchdowns against 24 interceptions. Impressive? Yes. But when Texas needed him the most, the consistency wasn't there. However, the arm talent was never the question. It was about delivering when it mattered. That's, we talk about things all the time, like we can go ahead and, develop a guy, fix some of the issues. We talk about that kind of stuff all the time. Footwork, ball placement, things of that nature. I'm going to tell you right now, having a set of balls is one thing you can't fix.
No.
You either got it as a quarterback or you don't. You either got that ability not to play afraid or you don't. You either got that ability to go ahead and rise up when it matters the most or you don't.
It's a very, if he hasn't figured it out in college times, he's not going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's one thing if you're in a spotlight in a big game at the beginning of your career in college, but at this point, like, you got the physical fortitude to step up in a needed situation to make a play happen. That's an issue. That's something you don't fix. 100% what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. He had the injury this past year, like they said, with the torn oblique, but you still saw him getting yanked out of games at times. Like, that's not good. And we talked about this last year when he was going to come out of the draft last year saying, you know what, maybe he should, because if Arch Manning comes in and does well, it's going to make him look bad. And guess what happened this year? Arch Manning came in and made him look bad. And people kind of forget, and this happens in professional, happens in college football, happens on every single level, basically. People forget that you're injured when they see somebody else come in and play better than you. They don't look at it as, oh, you're fighting through an injury. Thank you for doing that. They look at it as, you're a bum. This guy played better.
Pretty much.
Right,
doesn't
or
matter.
wrong.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. You just lost like 3 toes in your foot, your step of foot, but whatever.
Yeah, the Ronnie Lott of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what it is. I mean, like I said, I'm just trying to level it out and say it what it is, because that is what it is. Like, we should care more than we do. But half the time you don't hear about the injury that much because the players don't want that target. And that's also part of that problem, is you don't hear it shoved to the fans going, this guy's injured, be patient. This guy's injured, be patient. You hear, he's playing.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't play well because, we all knew about the oblique issue during the season, but it wasn't like they were like, oh, I can't believe this guy's even playing. He's got a bad oblique injury. Like, no one talks about that. So, I give him credit for playing through. But again, it wasn't just last year. This wasn't a new issue, him not being able to play well when it mattered the most. You got the clutch gene or you don't have the clutch gene.
Yeah. I want to see 2-minute drive, be able to step up in the pocket and make a big throw.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, not to just say this because it's a Giants podcast, but he's the classic example. Look at a guy like Eli. Let's be honest here. We say that all the time as Giants fans. You can't spell elite without Eli. But what it boils down to it is, and I'm going to get some slack for saying this potentially, he wasn't that elite. What he was he had the ability to stay healthy and the ability to do it when it mattered the most. Those are elite traits that made him elite as a result. If you took either one of those things out, Eli is not Eli.
Well, yeah, it's a very obvious statement. Take anything.
No, but I'm saying, like,
they trade away. But I know what you're saying. 100%.
You could sit there. Let's say a guy like Brady. Let's say a guy like Manning, Breeze. These guys who were like considered the best of that generation. You could sit there and say, "Oh, let's take 1 or 2 traits away from them." They're still a damn good quarterback.
100%. Eli's still a good quarterback, but he's not. You're not wrong for what you're saying. I'm just saying, you just pointed out like the obvious there. Like, yes, his ability to stay healthy consistently, this way he was dependable, was that made him elite. There was no forgetting about him. Like there was, well, I'm
just saying, let's not talk about the clutch, not the healthy thing.
I get that. Let me do my rant before you keep interrupting.
Go for your rant. Go for your rant over here.
You ruined the rant
over here.
You're ruining the rant. Jeez.
I apologize to the rant.
Yeah. Interrupting my rant with your rant. But yes, really stay healthy is like I joke about it all the time. The best ability is availability. And if you have a healthy quarterback, which we're talking about clutch, but you're also talking about injury too with oblique, that you don't know if he was healthy through the whole year or not. So he wasn't available to play. Archie comes in and makes him look bad. Eli was also elite because the ability to step up in the pocket and play clutch. He also had the ability to get hit, get back up, walk off the field, and then come back on like nothing ever happened.
Yep.
That's something you can't teach. That's something you can't teach.
But I'm saying if you took those two things out, Eli is not that great a quarterback at that point. To be honest, he would not have stayed as a starter potentially even in the long term. He'd be like Kirk Cousins, basically.
But
And
also to counter to that, everyone thought Daniel Jones had that Eli trait where he just roll off after
Daniel
hit.
Jones had a dopey look in his face like Eli had, and people are like, "Oh, look, I like that look."
Yeah, he knows how to get beat up on. Just forget about it.
Pick on him. He's actually a nice guy. I feel bad. We're gonna talk about it in a minute too, but yeah, like I said, I think if you want to take him in the mid round, if you really like him in the mid round, you think he's got some potential to be a starter, go for it. What the hell? But if you're intrigued by him, you can't be intrigued in him as like a first or second round. He's not that guy. No. Definitely not first round or third overall, but even the second round, like you got the second overall pick in the second round. Like that's no. Yeah, that's way too early. I'm not taking that unless you like trade down and get extra picks and then take him and then.
Even still, to me, he's a third round guy.
Yeah, to me, he's that guy. Like, if he's there, he's there. Like I said, the bowl of cereal, peanut butter jelly sandwich, that weird thing in the fridge you don't know quite what it is, but it's been there for a while.
The Costco frozen meatballs that sit in the bottom of your freezer for the past 5 months.
Anything from Costco is.
They got these cream dumpling things, Bojikos or something.
Delicious. I don't know what it is, but I'm already intrigued by cream and dumplings. Yes.
Delicious.
Anyways, we're getting too hungry here.
Hungry goofballs.
Let's talk about Daniel Jones. We started talking about him a little bit there. Apparently, Jones has interest building up for him there. And guys, it's the New York Giants. They're interested in bringing him back. No kidding.
Whack!
Whoa! Can you imagine? Oh my God, that'd be
like the Batman meme across the.
That'd be ridiculous, but yeah. So we're looking at the there's a lot of teams honestly that are interested in him though, and I think that needs to be said for one of two things. One, people no longer have faith that the Giants have the ability to get the most out of players anymore, which is a legit thing to say. Yeah. And two, they don't think that this is that great of a year for quarterbacks, that people are so desperate to pick up any veteran with any possibility.
With a pulse.
Yeah, like, ooh, he's got some starting experience. Maybe the Giants just screwed up. We'll bring him in, see what he can do. You know, like that's what I feel like teams are at this point.
He's an elite backup.
Yeah, I mean, listen, honestly, he is. Like, if you want him as a backup, that you could do a whole lot worse than a guy with that many years of starting experience and a guy who is, you know, pretty much one of the nicest people you'll meet in the NFL by all, you know, all rumors that you hear about this kid. So, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN said, as the Colts look for a veteran quarterback options, name on the radar include Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and Jacoby Brissett. This is a mix of quarterbacks who can support Anthony Richardson and guys who will look to start games somewhere. I've heard Jones's name more than once in regard to the Colts. Indianapolis has not given up on Richardson, but how the team approaches the free agency time period will be telling. So interesting. And you know what? I feel like he is a good guy for that scenario. Like Daniel Jones, for all the issues he has, guys, and let's be honest, he has tons of issues.
We're not have to go down the line.
We're not trying to yet. We've already beat that dead horse to the point where the Elmer's glue factory is overflowing with supply right now. But it's
not
like
even the dog food companies are calling us.
Yeah, Alpo stock is just rising like crazy. But I mean, you look at things like, what are you looking for in a quarterback in every scenario? And it's like Anthony Richardson. Okay, you want to bring a guy in who can help him, who's going to be a good teammate, going to be a good person to teach him things, going to understand some of the ins and outs of being a football player as far as prep work, being a leader, that kind of stuff. Say what you want about Jones, but he's got those things down.
Yes.
His issue is not being a leader. His issue is not as far as his prep work or anything like that, or the amount of effort he put in. That was not an issue whatsoever. If you don't think that was the case, then go ahead and relook and watch all the runs he did. You know, how many times he took a hit for the team on a game that was over just to get a first down. Like, not even a game that was close, but a game that we're down by 3 touchdowns. And he's just running for a first down because he cared.
Yeah.
Again,
listen,
bad player. I know people to hear this stuff like they're like, oh, he likes Jones. No, I appreciate Jones as a person, not as a quarterback.
Yeah. A starter quarterback. I mean, there's a reason why you never heard any bad media about Jones.
No.
He was just a stand-up guy that people liked having around.
Yep.
And that's part of the reason probably why he had such a long career as a starter as Giant is like, Danny Dimes is, Danny Dimes is a nice guy. Maybe if he was a little nicer, he would have got the 5th-year option, and then would have tanked that 5th year, and then we wouldn't have been in this mess right now. But that's besides the point.
It's this whole other thing. But I mean, the other thing with him is you could bring in a guy like Daniel Jones, I feel like. And if you're Anthony Richardson, you can't be like, oh my God, they brought in Daniel Jones. They don't trust me. I'm done. Like, that's not a guy breathing down your neck. But at the same point, if you're the Colts, you can go, if things fail out, worst case scenario, we just let Anthony Richardson finish the season. I mean, Daniel Jones finish the season. And put Richardson on the bench and give up on him and just let him go. That's a possibility. So it makes a whole lot of sense. Now, besides the Colts, the Vikings are also said to be interested in keeping Jones if they don't retain Sam Darnold, which is no given. Like, there's rumors they want to keep him, but if he wants to get paid a lot, that's probably not in the cards with the Vikings. But at the same point, there's rumors that he doesn't exactly have the most robust market out there. This based on what he did the last couple of games with the Vikings there. Then the Browns are also said to be interested in Daniel Jones as well, which would be interesting. I mean, Deshaun Watson has that long-term injury he's dealing with. He might not even play this season from things I'm hearing. So, we'll see what happens there. Obviously, they may also draft a quarterback since they have the 2nd overall pick. Daniel Jones is actually, listen, I think if it wasn't for the fact of the history with the team, Daniel Jones might be thought of as a potential bridge quarterback for us even. Again, if it wasn't for the history, you can't bring back Daniel Jones like that. That'd be insanity. No. But I'm just saying, like, he is a good bridge quarterback option. For the reasons I mentioned with Anthony Richardson, he's going to be a good teammate. He's going to help the young guy around. It's not somebody you're worried about having to bench because he'll get it. He's just there to build up Kurt Warner style, his stock, so to speak, like Warner did with the Giants before he went to the Cardinals. Like, that's where he's at. It's a perfect scenario for him to be a 1-year bridge guy and then hope to go continue his career elsewhere. Now, whether or not he will continue his career elsewhere is a whole other thing, but that's not the worst train of thought ever. That's for sure. Yeah. So, we'll see what happens. Listen, regardless of what happens overall, though, I will root for Daniel Jones. I will. And I know, again, it's like a curse word. It's almost as bad as saying Gettleman in some New York Giants circles. But I just feel like this is a guy who busted his hump for us, and he deserves the credit for doing so. Let's see. Tony Hollis. We got a lot here. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Tony says, to me, watching Danny Dimes, it was purely his playing ability. Never any issues in the locker room or off the field. Honestly, even living here in Indy, I don't see him. I really don't see a veteran that Richardson can learn from. DJ's best year passing was 15 touchdowns, 3,500 yards, and 5 interceptions. Fields has the potential, but he hasn't truly had a good offensive play caller. Darnold will be too expensive, and honestly, he's had the benefit of being with Shanahan and the 49ers with a good team culture. Same with the. We get more here. Oh no, that was it. That was just part. There was no part 2. Because he's keeping us in suspense for the rest of the opinion. But no, I mean, Tony, listen, you're not learning from him how to be a quarterback on the field. You're learning from him how to be a quarterback off the field. That's what it is. Off the field specifically. So just to be clear, like, he was the guy, again, he was the first guy in the building, last guy to leave. Everybody loved him as far as teammates. They had a lot of respect for him. He gave it all on the field. Things that you definitely can question about Anthony Richardson. I mean, hell, the guy quit in the middle of a game once because he was tired. Daniel Jones would never do that.
Not at all. Not a single. Nope.
And he says, with Vikings and O'Connell, it was there. LOL, I promise. You went too long, Tony. You went too long. John says, bring Daniel back. Bring Daniel back. Bring Daniel back. Everyone deserves 8 chances. It's ironic you say 8 since that was his number, but yeah. Like I said, I wish the best for him. I really do. So, all right. Let's get into the guy that honestly looks more and more like he might potentially be our next quarterback next year here.
Jeez.
We'll see if it is the case. The rumors are heating up here with Aaron Rodgers to the Giants. They're getting warm, roasty, toasty over here. So, we previously reported that Aaron Rodgers had contacted the New York Giants. It's now being reported that his camp has contacted them multiple times. I think Aaron Rodgers just want to move. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, he did.
I really do.
He
likes New York.
No, he's like, got a 3-year lease on this apartment.
Oh, I'm sure he's got a house.
Yeah, got a 3-year lease on this house.
He's got a 3-year lease in this cave full of mushrooms.
He's going spelunking.
Oh gosh. Friend of the show, Connor Hughes of SNY said the Giants have had internal discussions regarding Aaron Rodgers. It is something that they are considering per sources, as others have said. However, and this is important phrasing, I would not characterize this as Rodgers being their top option or fallback after missing Matthew Stafford. The Giants are considering several options in free agency, Rodgers amongst them. Regarding Rodgers himself, he's made it clear that he values a team that values him, which that's just weird. I'm sorry, I had to stop that for a second. He values a team that values him. Like, what, you need to be pampered and coddled? Like, seriously, you're 41 years old? Stop it.
41, right? Yeah.
Stop it. You're my age. Like, it's different when you're coddling a young quarterback. You're trying to protect him from his psyche. You're Aaron freaking Rodgers. Been in this league for 2 decades. Stop.
Yeah.
I think he was drafted in like 2005. So I think legit it's been like 20 years now. I want to say it was the year after Eli. So, like,
yeah, it was right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Probably around there. But anyway, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, he says he also loves New York. Sure, he prefer not to move. Hey, you were right. And then it says he's also a huge fan of Malik Neighbors. If this did ever come to fruition, Devontae Adams likely part of the deal. Cooper Kupp was going to come with Stafford, New York. Adams, not a bad compliment to Neighbors. The Giants and members of their coaching staff have touched base with former members of Jets coaching staff to discuss working with Rodgers the last 2 years. They've received rave reviews. Public perception of Aaron Rodgers, the person, teammate, very different from those who worked with him. And this is why I've said all along in this whole thing. Like, listen, he's not my top choice. Just not my top choice. And I'll say it. I cannot say it enough. But you could do worse, guys.
Yeah.
You could do worse. Like, coming off a major injury last year, by the way, guys, was hands down better than any quarterback we attempted to use. Hands down. Hands down, feet down, everything down.
But that's also not saying much.
No. But people are acting like he's washed. I don't think he's washed. I think his personality was the issue, and the some of the, like going to Cairo during the camp and all that kind of stuff. And I think there was definitely issues with him and the coaching staff, even though, obviously Connor, who's got I want him in front, has better, knowledge of the inside of the Jets camp than we do, obviously, but he's saying otherwise. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's like we were talking about this before. We're talking about quarterbacks and free agents. Is that Aaron Rodgers, he did look stiff coming back, but that's to be expected to come back off an Achilles injury, which it's absolutely at his age. He came back. Kudos to him because that ruined some careers. You gotta love both sides. He did look stiff. He got a lot of those yards and a lot of those completions and some garbage time. Let's face it. But he's also playing with the
garbage time of the year.
It's pretty much the year. So, yeah.
But
you also have to remember he played with an offensive line that was worse than the Giants. Way worse than the Giants.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, Jets had one of the worst offensive lines last year.
I'm just saying, when's the last time you heard that phrase? Going to the Giants be a better offensive line for him.
Significantly better.
But I'm just saying, when have you seen that?
So
that's insanity. By the way, I think confirmed it is 2005 is when he was.
It was. Yeah, 2005. So I believe he'd be 42 at the beginning of this season.
Let's see. He turns 42 in December. So we just turned 41.
So you also have to think about like father time. How much is that playing to injury and not playing in garbage time with the bad offensive line? You improve it. Like there's the Tom Brady's out there, but then again, you also got some guys take a big step back at like 37, 38. Obviously, Aaron, he's proved himself into 40, then hurt himself. So like I said, there's worse options, and you probably don't have to spend a crazy amount of money because he probably knows he's on his way out.
Yeah. And I mean, if you just look at how he ended the season, okay, I'm going to go through the last 5 games. Okay. His last 5 games, his average per game, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I would take a game like that in a heartbeat. I'm a Giant. That's like we're used to like 112 yards and one touchdown.
Yeah.
It's like if we get a touchdown even.
Point.
Like,
You want to say the average? The average of like probably the last 5 games for the Giants was like probably 160 yards passing with like 1.2 touchdowns a game.
We got that Colts game. Don't forget the Colts game.
Well, I'm including that in there.
We had 5 touchdowns that one game. It's insanity.
With like 1.3 touchdowns a game and like 1.5 interceptions.
So sad. So sad. But yeah, like I said, to me, I look at him as if his head's on right. And I do think, like I said, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I do think he will do the right thing in New York, at least for a time period, because he just wants to change his image, his public image. And he knows this is probably his last chance to do that before he retires. If there's one thing about egomaniacs, being one myself, I can assure you, people that are egomaniacs want people to like them. Because they want to say, I'm so wonderful, and you're all need to notice how wonderful I am. Here, let me show you how wonderful I am. Look, I did this because I'm wonderful.
Yeah, I don't think he cares that much about the off-the-field stuff, more so on the field. I think he's still going to do spelunking cave dives. He doesn't care. He found, a religion in mushrooms. It is what it is. There's some people that just, that's what they do. That's fine. Do you. That's cool. If you come on to the Giants and you throw for, 4,500 yards and then, 20-something touchdowns with like 8 interceptions, I'm cool with that. Eat all the mushrooms you want because you're going to be 42 by the time the career's over.
I'm curious though, like is he near some of the big time players as far as stats? So he's 5th in touchdowns, passing touchdowns. He's 7th in passing yards. Where is he at here? Let's see here. He needs 5 touchdowns to beat Brett Favre. Well, I wonder if that's what it is.
Be the best Green Bay to retire.
Because 5 touchdowns. If you listen, you better be able to get 5 touchdowns next year if you play for the Giants. After him is Peyton Manning when he would need another 36. So I wouldn't say it's impossible, but not likely to get that next year. And then passing yards wise, if he got 3 more passing yards, he's going to end up beating Phillip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger, being number 5 overall. So yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe he just wants to extend his career to be on the record books like that. That's possible too. That wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. And you're talking about an egomaniac that also doesn't care because he's sitting there gobbling up the terrible, dirty ass mushrooms. There you go. The mushrooms told me to get the all-time yards. Blah.
See, John says, will Aaron wear 8 or 12? 8 is not good for him. Maybe that's why he sucked on the Jets. And if he wears 8 for the Giants, we'll have flashbacks of Daniel Jones. LOL. Yeah, I don't think he's going to wear number 8. I think he would go back to number 12 because number 12 is definitely up for grabs. What's his name that we got? Was it Cody Latimer? Was that the receiver that a couple of years ago wore number 12 for the Giants?
I was trying to think who had 12.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen it in the last couple of years, like on a prominent player. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, Darren Waller. Darren Waller was number 12. So yeah, we've seen a couple of guys, so it's obviously available. I don't know if somebody's wearing it last year, but it's definitely available. I would definitely do that over 8, that's for sure. Tony says, for the Giants' sake, I would hope he wouldn't join the team. The potential for the Giants is starting on the upswing again. Neighbors is solid. Defense is good. O-line needs some work and a better running back. I don't know. Like I said, we need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Sometimes desperate measures, do happen. Like Big Blue in the Bronx says, "What's up, fellas? What's
up, Big Blue?"
Again, guys, if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and Big Blue in the Bronx there. Great coverage on New York sports teams in general, not just the Giants, but definitely Giants are part of it there. But Yankees, Mets, Jets, all the New York teams there. John Anderson says, go all in to get Adams and Cup if we get Aaron Rodgers. I don't think we're like I think we're trying to win a ring here. That's like a ring kind of winning move. Like getting Adams is just a way to appease Aaron Rodgers to a certain degree, which is part of why, to be very frank, I don't like that part of the move. It's like the Jets did a lot of appeasing of Rodgers. How'd that work out?
Yeah. They're supposed to win in the Super Bowl and they barely won.
Yeah. No. John says Aaron played better at the end of the year. His injury is finally getting better. I think he will play better now. It depends. It's the age. You never know.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
Don't. But you also got to consider the fact that he didn't play basically at all for the first couple of years. Like he basically sat on the bench for, let's see here.
Like 3-4 years behind.
I want to say 3. Yeah, 3 years. 3 years on the bench there. And, really didn't play till he was 25 years old. Which is scary to think about. He sat for 3 years. And he's still going to end up, if he plays another year, top 5 in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Imagine where he would have been if he had played those years.
Yeah, but also he may have not been the same player.
He may not have. I'm just saying, though, it's one of those what-if kind of scenarios there, John says, mushrooms or shrooms on my pizza? Mushrooms, yes. Shrooms, no.
Depends on what kind of night you want.
Once Aaron gets the records, he'll be like, ouch, my leg. I got to sit out the rest of the season. Sadu says, tight end. Andre says, what's up, Drew? What's up, Rob? How you guys? Good, man. How's it going? Andre? He says, the rumors are true. We'll talk about the trade in a second. Let's hold off on the trade part. We'll get that in a minute there. That we are talking about here. In the meantime, though, let's pay the bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. And of course, if you want to support the show, you can also do so by sending a super chat on YouTube. You can do it by setting stars on Facebook or the freeway. You can go ahead and hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe. Let your friends know about the show, because point blank, guys, without y'all telling people about the show, we'd be screwed. We suck at marketing. We count on everybody here to help us out here. I hate to be that person, count on the people. We're doing it. It is what it is. So let's start off with the next segment here. So we got to talk about, PFF did a list of the ideal draft for the New York Giants. And I got to say, it's not that crazy. It really isn't. Not necessarily how I would go, but I can see how they would do it. So the very first thing is you got pick 3, round 1. You got Cam Ward. The only thing I question is, first off, I don't think Cam Ward, there's no way in hell Cam Ward is available at pick 3. I do still think he's the best quarterback in this draft. I do think he's a guy who's going to go ahead and probably get picked 1 or 2 at the worst, depending on what the Titans do. But yeah, like I said, if you're going to tell me I'm going to get Cam Ward, I'm game.
Yep.
I'm game. I'm done. Like, that is my number one scenario, is to get Cam Ward in a Giants uniform. And
we've talked about this multiple times.
Yes, I know. It's like that horse is just even more dead than usual.
Yeah.
Ghost horse. But I mean, it makes sense. We need a quarterback. Here's the best quarterback in the draft. Done. Simple. That's how cut and dry it is. Our second round pick, they went with Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. Definitely not a hunchback, that's for sure. Bleacher Report says Benjamin Morrison is a versatile cornerback prospect out of Notre Dame, known for his quickness, fluidity, and ability to play both outside and in the slot. Standing at 6 foot and weighing 190 pounds, Morrison brings a well-rounded skill set to the position. His athleticism combined with his physicality and football IQ make him a compelling option for NFL teams looking to bolster their secondary. He is a former freshman All-American with a ton of playing experience under his belt. Yeah, sign me up. An experienced corner that's not named Deontay or Banks. Like I've said it before, I'll say it again. You draft based on what's available, but the ideal scenario would be that we get a cornerback in the first 3 rounds. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, I don't care. It depends on, again, how everybody else plays it out. But that's the ideal scenario. And then we get a free agent as well. And you really bolster that secondary. You know, if Banks acts like a Banks again, we can just go ahead and close the bank down. Pretend it's a national holiday.
Sorry, it's President's Day. Get out.
Get out of cut it out.
Yeah. Cut it out.
That's we just can't have that again. I mean, like the Giants were in no position to actually discipline Banks very much last year, I felt like, because they needed him. Point blank. Like, as bad as Banks was, think about how much worse everybody else was behind him.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason he was starting, not just because of the draft position.
It was more of a need than anything else.
Yeah, and you got to kill that need. Because if you kill the need, you take his leverage away from him, and you level that playing field with him. It's got to get done. And a guy like Morrison could be a good guy to have because, again, he plays inside. He can play outside. I still wonder what they're going to do with Drew Phillips next season. I still wonder if they're going to try to put him inside sometimes. He was just that good. I can understand the school of thought. I can also understand the school of thought of don't mess with it. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
But it's a risk either way because you know what? He played outside in college. It's not like he's a slot guy that hasn't played it outside. He played outside in college. So you could bring him inside. And you bring on a guy like Morrison and you go, okay, you know what? We're going to flip-flop this around until we figure out who's better on the outside, who's better on the inside. That's makes a lot of sense, I think, at that point. Round 3.
Fight.
Listen, guys. I'm going to get points off for pronunciation, probably. So, JT Tuimolu, Ohio State edge rusher. I know I probably just butchered his last name, and I apologize to him and his family. So, the Bleacher Report said he projects well as a traditional hand-of-the-ground defensive end in even fronts. He has great size and can be a good run defender with his strength and physicality at the point of attack. Setting the edge is fairly easy for him, and he can get off blocks to make plays against the rushing attack. We do a 3-4, so I'm a bit puzzled by that there, but it is what it is. Listen, we need edge help, that's for sure. Again, I said it with the corner thing. I'll say it again. You don't force a pick, but to me, 1, 2, 3. If things work out the way I hope, quarterback, and then defensive line corner. Which, regardless of one defensive line or corner, second or third, I don't care. Edge rusher we need. Let's be very frank in that. We already lost Boogie Basham. He already left. We already are going to potentially lose Azeez Ojulari, depending on what happens in free agency. That gives us Kayvon, who is hurt almost every year. And that gives us Burns, who, all the credit in the world, he played extremely beat up and hurt last year. But, we need some depth at that position. I'm just not sure round 3 is where I'm looking for edge depth.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a round 4, round 5 kind of thing, along with a free agent move. A guy that you can go ahead and get to start if need be, but a guy that can sit on the bench just as well. That kind of fringe kind of starter kind of guy. I don't know, like an Azeez Ojulari, for example.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping we keep him. I ended up crazy, I know. But I'm still hoping we keep him. But I admit freely I get attached to players sometimes.
Yeah, especially because he has the ability to play when he has the availability. But
yeah, put him on the bench. He'll have the availability.
Yeah.
he won't get hurt as much. That's the thing. You can't start. He can't be that dependable. But put him as a backup. He's a decent backup. We saw it last year. Kayvon went out and he sucked against the run. Don't get me wrong. You lost a lot in the run defense, but he was better than Kayvon in the pass rush. He's not a bum, that's for sure. So, but yeah, like I said, overall, I'm not going to complain about a third round edge rusher. We got the top quarterback in the league, and we got a decent corner in the second round. That alone is enough to make me happy. I'm good. The bar has been set so low for me that I'm happy with that.
That's so sad.
We have a quarterback. Like, I'm serious. If we go get Cam Ward and we get another veteran to start for Cam Ward at the beginning of the season, if not the whole rookie season, I'll let him sit and learn some of the stuff he needs to learn. I'm happy right there alone. Anything else that happens there, it's just gravy. I know I should have higher expectations, but I'm a Giants fan. They've been lowered over the years. A little Mad TV. Lowered expectations. I used to love that show.
So good.
Speaking of things that are mad and would make me mad, but also make me happy at the same time, I wouldn't quite know how to take it. How about this rumor of the Giants with the potential trade with the Dallas Cowboys? And this is not any sources saying they're hearing this out of Dallas or out of New York. This is a writer who's talking about this, Daniel Alameda out of the Sporting News. He's predicting point blank this is a trade that will happen. He's not saying this might work. He's saying, I think this is going to happen. The Cowboys would receive pick number 3 from the Giants overall. The Giants would receive picks 12, 44, first round next year, third round next year. And then they're suggesting they would go ahead and get Shedeur Sanders. Alameda writes, trading for Sanders wouldn't spell the end of Prescott immediately, but it would give Prescott this season to prove they can go far in the playoffs, or a 2026 trade could be imminent. The Cowboys don't seem to have a roster that can immediately compete with the Eagles or Commanders, so they should be looking towards the future. Interesting. I'm so mixed in this, Rob. You go first. I'm so mixed in this thing. It's not even funny. I'm going to put you in the spot.
I have a lot of mixed feelings because, one, any trades within our division that does benefit us to the most upfront, I don't want nothing to do with. That being said, if you don't think that Sanders or Ward are going to be dudes in this league, and this is a really bad draft class for quarterbacks, why not give a non-dude to your division rival for a long term and trade down and then add up your roster elsewhere? Because just like you just said, we don't have the roster to compete with the Commanders or Philadelphia either. At this point, we don't have a roster to compete with the Cowboys. So let's get the picks in, let's get the personnel in, and let's rebuild the team, because that should be our upfront most concern. So, and normally you rebuild around a quarterback, but once again, you don't think Sanders awards that dude, don't reach and get him. If you could get Dart or Ewers later in rounds, go ahead and do it.
I mean,
and you could use some of these picks to do that.
I feel like in this scenario, you have to kind of take out the fact that it's Dallas for a second.
Yes.
Because I feel like that adds a whole lot of oh God, we're going to do that. Because the risk is definitely there, because not just as a rival, it's a rival you paid twice a year. But I look at it and I go, okay, they take Shedeur Sanders in that scenario. We pick 12 overall. Let's say we get, I'm gonna say Mason Graham will probably be gone. I'm going to throw a guy like Will Johnson out there, who I think is better than pick 12, but I think he's going to stick to around that point. He's dropping a little bit lately for some reason. He could be gone. Who knows? We'll see. Let's say hypothetically we get him. Then we got pick 44, and we still got our second pick of the second round as well. Let's say we go ahead and get a defensive lineman and an offensive lineman. And now in the third round, we go get a guy like a Quinn Ewers, like you mentioned, or Dylan Gabriel, or Will Howard, or one of those kind of guys. And you put him behind a guy, let's say hypothetically you already got Aaron Rodgers. You're fixing a lot of holes here. And you're going into next season with an extra first, an extra third, and a much better quarterback class.
Yeah.
You better be sure.
It's that crazy. Yeah. You have to be sure this is not your guy. And maybe it's not the worst, because if Shane and Dable do get fired, like we're thinking, new regime, new quarterback, let's go.
But it's like the fear has got to be like look how much the Giants get bashed for not picking Micah Parsons. Imagine how bad it'd be if it was Shedeur Sanders and he was a good player.
Yeah.
It'd be like Barkley going to the Eagles all over again. Because we could have had him.
Yeah.
That's what this situation could have been. And I feel like the Giants would never have the balls to do it because of that. Point blank. I don't think the Giants would ever have the balls to do it. But I'm telling you right now, I would make that decision. Is this a guy I want? Or is this a guy I don't think is good enough to lead this team? And if he's not, I'm moving on. And I'm getting rid of that. I'm making that trade in a freaking heartbeat.
100%.
Because if you don't think he's the guy, then there's no loss. If you think he's the guy, you better pick him no matter what. You could trade up to get him if you have to. If you think he's the guy, that's how important your opinion of this player matters. Get him if he's the guy. Don't get him if he's not. And if he's not and somebody else wants him and you get that kind of offer, hells yeah, you can still take him. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's a lot of stuff, guys. You know, if you look at who's available around the 12 range at that point, you know, you're going to have a guy like we said, Will Johnson's going to be right there at that point. You know, McMillan from Arizona. Do we go get a second top flight receiver at that point there? You know, do we get a guy like a Will Campbell or somebody like that to go ahead and play tackle, which allows Jermaine Illuminor now to go ahead and move inside the guard?
I was going to say, I think you'd spend a little more on that, little more on the offensive line. You don't have
I hate
over there.
It scares me so much to have an offensive lineman from the first round.
I'm not saying from the first round, but I'm just saying,
Well, that's what he would be in this scenario, I'm saying,
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, even if you can't, let's say hypothetically, if you don't think you can get a Mason Graham there, well, you can get a Walter Nolan. You know, like you can still get good players. You can get Kenneth Grant there. You know, like it's still options. And now you still have all these other players out there. That's the thing. You still have all these other options out there. You know, and because you're going to have all these extra picks. Like I said, to me, it's that cut and dry. And I'm not going to say if it's right or wrong, because for us to make that kind of call, Rob and I don't have that kind of info. We haven't sat there and looked him in the eye and had a conversation with him. We haven't tried to figure out things and do a job interview with him, so to speak, to find out if he's the guy or not. Like, I've done plenty of job interviews in my life, guys. Did 3 today. Like, I can sit there and talk to somebody and find out if they're meant for something or not. I can tell you a lot by having a conversation with somebody because I've had a lot of training to do that kind of stuff. I don't have that option with Sanders, so I can't make that call. I have to hope, as scary as it sounds, that I can trust Joe Shane to make the right call. And not because I want to trust Joe Shane, but because I kind of have to, because I've been forced into this situation by the Giants.
Yeah. Tell him put down his peanut jelly sandwich, look the man in his eyes, make sure, he knows what he's looking at.
It's definitely scary, but like I said, it's a high risk, high reward kind of move. It really is. And sometimes it works out. Like, there was plenty of people saying that we should have taken Justin Fields before we traded him. You know, the year we got Kadarius Toney. There's people saying that. Oh, but Daniel Jones sucks. They should just go ahead and get Justin Fields themselves. I think that worked out well for us in a way. I mean, Toney sucks too, but that's a whole separate thing. Like, we were not regretting drafting Justin Fields, are we? Even though it's ironic we're talking about getting him as a free agent this year, I don't think people are like, oh God, we should have taken Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And Sanders may have that kind of talent level. Different type of player, obviously, but he may be at that same kind of talent level because I'm telling you point blank, most years he would not be a top 3 pick. Most years he's a mid-first round pick.
But even last year's draft, I mean, granted, it was rich in quarterbacks. He was
Last year's draft, who knows?
Yeah.
Could have been the 4th overall pick.
Yeah. Touche.
But yeah, like I said, you got to make a call. You got to make a call. And it's funny because we hear about potentials for trading the picks. That's not the first rumor I've heard. That's just the craziest one because with the Cowboys. But you also hear rumors of the Giants looking to trade up. And this is what the Giants do, guys.
Trading on up.
Love him or hate him. And I think most of us hate Joe Shane at this point. I should say hate, but we dislike him as our GM. But that man can play poker. We've said it before. I'll say it again. He can play poker because we have no clue what's going on. This went to the Giants love Shedeur Sanders to the Giants are scared of this draft class. They want to go ahead and get Matt Stafford because they just don't trust these guys. Like, there's so many different things you're hearing left and right from all kinds of directions. And there's a lot of people also saying Cam Ward is the guy they like, not Shedeur Sanders. We have no way of knowing. Connor Hughes said, according to one NFL GM unaffiliated with the Titans or Giants, 2 third-round picks is likely enough to move up from 3rd overall to 1st overall with Tennessee. And how about you, Rob? If that's what it takes and we're short a guy, I'll take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Titans
oh, no.
up.
We can't get Josh Azudu and Cordell Flott?
Yeah. Jeez. Which just could be like the dude, like, once again, going back to the dude scenario. If this is your dude, go buy Cordell Flott. Go buy, yeah.
Yeah, if it's your guy and you're that confident, take him. Take him. Don't look back and take him. And I got to think if we move up like that, it's Cam Ward. I got to think it is. And it'd be the Giants' way to make it seem like they love Shedeur Sanders just to go ahead and take Cam Ward.
Yeah, but if we get the 1st overall, who cares?
Well, if we got it for 2 third-round picks even, who cares in general? That's nothing. Sign me up. Sign me up. Now, over the cap's Jason Fitzgerald wrote, though, so what it would cost the Giants to move up this to the top pick this year, they hold the 3rd overall pick, which is a big help. To get to that 3,000-point premium, you'd probably be looking at giving up the 3rd overall pick and 34th overall in this year's draft, along with next year's 1st-round pick and 3rd-round pick. Dan Duggan at The Athletic responded to that, said, this feels much more in line with the cost to trade up from 3 to 1 than some packages that have been floated. I'm telling you right now, if we have to give up a 1st this year, which I mean, you're going to have to get a 1st no matter what, but you have to give a 1st along with the 2nd, along with next year's 1st and next year's 3rd, no way in hell.
They're just trying to do what the Panthers did to themselves. Just shoot themselves right in the Panther ding dong.
Whoa.
Panther front tail.
But I'm just saying, like, that's a no way in hell for me. Absolutely no way in hell for me. I am not going anywhere near to that kind of trade. That is way too much. If I can do it for a couple of mid-round picks, like Connor Hughes was saying, done. But if I got to go ahead and give up all those extra premium picks to do it, there's no way in hell. And if you're telling me I got to give up a 2nd to 3rd, that's a question. Would you do that, Rob? I don't know if I would or wouldn't.
I would teeter on the idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably, if I feel confident enough, yeah.
That's my teeter line, I think.
Yeah, that's
a 2nd and a 3rd. And I mean, like, it'd have to be like a 2nd or a 3rd next year, along with one of the 2 this year and one of them next year. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to give up my 2nd and my 3rd this year to do that.
Yeah.
That'd be a hell's no. But a 2nd this year and a 3rd next year, or a 3rd this year and a 2nd next year, either one of those I would entertain. I'm not saying I would do it, but I'd entertain. Anything less than that, done. Anything more than that, nope.
I would teeter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
It'd probably also totter.
Teeter and tot.
Exactly.
Go up and down, inside out.
You know,
Vida Loca.
I think part of it, and I don't hear this talked about enough, is you always got to wonder in the back of our heads is part of our desire to hold on to picks because of how good the draft class was this year. Like we would have the same feeling last year after coming off 2 horrendous back-to-back drafts, but this year, you're talking about giving up a second and a third. I got to give up Tyler Nubin and Drew Phillips.
Yeah, it's
like, you know what I'm saying? Like you start doing that in your head, going, well, we made the joke before of like, 2 third-round picks. So I got to give up Cordell Flott and Josh Judo. Yeah, you'd make that deal in a freaking heartbeat.
100%.
But you start using good draft picks in that same analogy, and you wouldn't want to do it. Like, if you're telling me right now I can trade up and go get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, first overall, but I have to give up my first-round pick this year, along with Drew Phillips, along with Tyler Nubin, I don't want to do that.
Nope.
That's not even a question for me. I'm not doing that.
No,
I'm not that confident in either one of these guys. You know?
I mean, once again, we're not behind the scenes. If the hype is true around this guy, or either one of these guys, they should be able to start in the NFL.
Should.
And they right away. But obviously, I don't want to do that to a rookie quarterback. I'd rather do the thing where they go in and they sit behind a veteran, hopefully steal the job from that year or later. But they get to learn along the way instead of getting thrown to the wolves. Just going to push right into the deep end. If you're confident that this guy is going to be like this year, play like Brock Purdy his rookie year, like I'd take that right away because then the expectations you're only going to improve from there. Yep. Brock Purdy, I just went out there because he played well, but he didn't play fantastic.
No, the team played fantastic around him.
Yeah,
that's the thing. We don't have a fantastic team to play around him.
Yeah, or even comes out playing like Josh Allen, like his freshman year, and moving right up. But that's a lot of hope.
Oh yeah. So, all righty, let's get less of the comments here before we head on out for the night. There, Seduce says draft Sanders or Kyle, Syracuse quarterback, and get number 12 Rodgers. That's a big difference there. You're talking about McCord, who would be probably like a 3rd or 4th round pick, and Sanders, who's going to be a top 10, if not top 5 pick. So it's a big difference there in those two.
I think you're saying if you don't get Sanders, go get Syracuse, Kyle Syracuse.
There's a lot of people I can see us getting if we don't. Honestly, I think if we miss out on Ward and Sanders, we're going to get one of the mid-tier quarterbacks in this draft. Yes. Like, there's no doubt in my mind we are drafting a quarterback, guys. No doubt in my mind. We could despise Sanders and Ward. We'll still find one later on. May not be as good a candidate. May not be good as a prospect, but we're going to get one.
We might get 2. I don't know.
Yeah. Then he says, draft 2 quarterbacks, Sanders and Kyle. He says, can he play in cold weather? Question, Miami Heat. Well, I mean, listen, there's always questions. But he played in Washington before that. I think Washington gets pretty cold. Colder than Colorado. It's higher up north. I assume. I don't know. I know it's further up north. I assume colder weather. I don't know.
Yeah, plus the Colorado elevates, so you're closer to the sun. So even though it's cold, it still feels warmer. It's weird.
I'll give you another question. Can Sanders play against good teams?
That's something that you have to look into.
He didn't have to in college. John says, if it ain't broke, why did you fix it?
Say, why did you break it?
Oh, if it ain't broke, why did you break? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so used to the usual phrase. I'm like changing his own comment here.
He's being clever, playing words.
Yeah. Womp. Lamar says, new general manager, new head coach, 2026 New York Giants. Yeah. That's a good possibility, man. I'm at the point now where as much as I am upset they're still there. So I'm at the point where I've kind of dealt with they're still there, and I have to just medium coke myself into supporting them for the time being until we can get rid of them and I'm proven right. Or hopefully even better, I'm proven wrong and this team does amazing this year compared to what we expect them to do. Not this team's going to win a Super Bowl or anything crazy no matter what. So John says, are they going to keep Kayvon this year or cut or sign 5th-year option. Well, they're going to keep him this year. The 5th-year option, we'll find out. I haven't heard anything on that, but I've heard of the rumors they're going to keep him the 5th-year options, and it makes sense. I think we gave the number like $16 million, was it we said last time? I mean,
Yeah,
you paid in a heartbeat for him. So John says, is Mason Graham worth it? Only 3 sacks a year. I don't know. Is Dexter Lawrence worth it? And that's not to say he's Dexter Lawrence, but Dexter Lawrence, besides this year, is not a big sacks guy. You know, if you look at his numbers, 9 this year, sure, he had the one, really good year in sacks, but 4.5, 7.5 in 22, 2.5, 4, 2.5. So, if you go prior to this year, because this was the one year he had really good sack numbers, he was averaging 4.2 sacks a season. Not that much more than the 3. To me, it doesn't matter as far as that. That's not what you're looking for when you do that. You're looking for a guy who can block blockers, which I know sounds crazy, but you want to keep the linebackers freed up. You want to stop the run. You want to push the pocket. That's your goal as somebody's going to play on the defensive line, the 3-4. So John says Sanders is good as far as using his mind like a Brady, and he'll be getting better players to work with. He's used to bad blocking. He's good with media. Won't be boring saying I'm every 10 seconds. Listen, I don't dispute anything you're saying is wrong. He's good. I don't know about using his mind like Brady, but he's good. He'll get better players to work with. Yeah, better than players in Colorado, sure. He's used to bad blocking. Well, he better be if he's coming here. Good with the media. I wouldn't say good with the media, but I think he will definitely create a media circus. That's for sure being here because he has no fear of saying things to the media. But that doesn't tell me any of that he'd be good. Using his mind like Brady is the one thing I disagree with you at. Working around better players. Well, everybody plays around with NFL talent in the NFL.
Yeah.
Unless you play for the Browns. Good with the media won't help him on the field, won't help us get wins. To me, I don't know. To me, like I said, there's a chance he's a really good quarterback in this league. There's a chance. But you gotta figure that out. As he clarified, meant saying like I said, I just don't know. I don't know if Sanders is the real deal. I haven't, and I would have loved to see him play in a legit conference. But when I see him playing against Colorado States of the world and all that kind of stuff, he didn't play good talent. I had the same problem with Hunter. Who did Hunter guard? Who did Sanders beat up defensively? It's a question mark for me. It really is. Let's see. He says, Lamar says, New York Giants in the hot seat all year long.
Oh, yeah.
All year long. John says, if Drew Lock didn't win a game, we would already have number 1 overall pick just like year before we blew it. Yeah, it happens. Ronald says the cost is too high for a rebuilding team. Depends on the cost. 3 years is not. 2/3 is not. Just stay at third to see what drops. Wouldn't shock me to do that too. I don't think they're trading with the Cowboys and trading back. I think that's a little insanity, and I can't believe somebody who's actually a legit media person said that. But I do think they'll either move up or stay put. I don't think they're moving down, unless they go to 3 and both quarterbacks are gone. Like if it goes Ward Sanders or Sanders Ward, and they're sitting at 3, like okay, well both quarterbacks are gone. Let's listen to some phone calls. Yeah, if somebody says I really want Abdul Carter or whatever, and takes them an insane, get for it, then maybe you do it, so you can regroup for next year. Hurst says, "What's up, fellas?
What's up, Hurts?"
And it says, "No Rodgers." Seduces, if Giants want Archie Manning from Texas next year, so forget about the season. I don't think Arch is coming out next year, honestly. I think he's going to come out in 27. And I've been hearing about tanking for Arch Manning for how many years now? I'm done with this.
Oh, yeah. No, thank
John says, oh, yeah, we put that already. And then John says, I disagree. I think he uses a brand like Brady. He studies tape a lot. So Daniel Jones, that didn't help him.
You could have the IQ. Well, say you have
Davis
IQ
Webb.
Brady's.
Davis Webb.
To say you have Brady IQ is a very high pedestal. To say I have good football IQ is another thing. But that also doesn't relate if you don't have the arm talent.
Exactly. So, all righty, guys.
You had Chad Pennington of like 10 years ago.
I actually like Chad Pennington, though.
I'm saying, but he didn't have the arm strength. Or even look at Fitzgerald, Fitzmagic. That dude had a Harvard degree or something.
Harvard.
Did it help him on the field?
When he picks up his diploma, pinky's up.
And when he throws the interception. It's probably why I started interceptions.
All righty, guys. That's going to call it a night for us here. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button again for me. Appreciate you guys for supporting the show and appreciate you all for being here. If you haven't already, like I said, just hit the button. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, whatever the hell you want to call it nowadays, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite, LinkedIn profile. And of course, as always, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms as well. That's Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there. So if you haven't already, again, subscribe, like, also leave a review if you haven't already too, especially on Apple Podcasts. That helps big time with that. And of course, we're going to be back on here for you guys again Wednesday and Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on all those different platforms there live as well. So the big one is go on YouTube, hit the bell, because that's where you're going to really know when we go on live at that point, or hit them all, because my phone goes off like 10 times whenever we go live. It's kind of nice. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Oh, people know we're on.
We're loved. We're really loved.
We're loved. You love us. All righty, guys. We'll see you guys again Wednesday night. Appreciate you all for coming on here. And as always, Giants fans,
go G-Man!
Go G-Man! G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.